Joining us now for tonight's big close-up is House Majority Whip in Minnesota, Congressman Tom Emmer. Congressman, thanks for being with us tonight. I know that you called on Governor Walz to resign. Doesn't seem like he's going to do that. A lot of us, though, would like to see him walk out of that governor's mansion in handcuffs if, in fact, he's done some of the things and look the other way on some fraud. We're not real happy about the billions in fraud in your state. What do you think is going to happen next for the governor, and what would you like to see happen?
Well, I mean, it's great to be with you, Tommy. And I will say, first off, you didn't play the clip of him in his first press conference announcing that we were going to fight the federal government. And this guy's talking like Jefferson Davis, and I think, looking into what he's saying and what he's encouraging and how it actually has responded in attacks on Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer is entirely appropriate, Tommy. In fact, I don't know that you've recorded it, but one of the officers was attacked with a snow shovel and brooms the other night by 3 illegals that the Biden administration had allowed into this country. So the federal agents are doing their job. Tim Walz and Jacob Fry. I mean, Jacob thinks he's the Gavin Newsom of the Midwest. He's not. And they both should answer for the behavior, because all you got to do is cooperate. You want the tension to be resolved. You want to de-escalate the situation. Guess what? Local law enforcement should provide a perimeter so that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers can do their job. The other piece of it, and by the way, if they're found guilty of that, they should be held accountable. But the other piece that you brought up is the fraud. Estimated to maybe reach $9 billion during Tim Walz's administration. We had a hearing. Jamie Comer, my friend, had a hearing on the Oversight Committee last week where 3 Minnesota legislators testified there is no doubt in their mind, based on their familiarity with the whistleblowers and all the evidence that's out there, that Tim Walz was not only aware of the fraud as it was happening, the whistleblowers told him about that fraud, and he chose to not only ignore it, but to retaliate against the whistleblowers. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If that can be confirmed, Tim Walz should not only be resigning, he should leave the office in cuffs.
Congressman Joey Jones here. Thanks so much for coming on with us tonight. So just looking at Minnesota as a whole, but going back to this fraud, everything that's happened in the Somali community, but also Tim Walz as governor. If Tim Walz knew about this fraud, had whistleblowers knowing about this fraud for the past several years, there have been court cases already. It's already been adjudicated in some places. Where, not meaning it's as funny as it sounds, but did you know about it? But where were the other legislators? Where were the other representatives? Where were the other lawmakers that represent that great state on this issue before there was a video out there that hit 100 million viewers?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Joey, because if you go back, you will see reports as early as 2013 when it comes to daycare fraud. But I want to make it clear that it was actually in 2017 and 2018 that a Democrat Attorney General by the name of Lori Swanson was actually investigating and prosecuting Somali daycare fraud. Ms. Swanson ran for the Democrat nomination for governor that year. Guess what? She lost to a guy named Tim Walz, and she was replaced by someone named Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison, upon taking the office of Attorney General, made an internal policy that there will be no further investigations without his express approval. Joey, there hasn't been an investigation since, not until the U.S. Attorney's Office started going after the Feeding Our Future scandal. And for anybody out there who's wondering, well, what were you guys doing? We've been trying to sound the alarm for years, and I thanked President Trump, because it wasn't until President Trump did a truth on a Friday night that called out all of this fraud. The Twin Cities media is complicit in this as well, and because they hate Donald Trump so much, he was genius. Our president was genius by drawing them into a fight that they didn't even realize they were getting into. And since then, the gloves have been off. People are starting to realize just how corrupt not only Tim Walz, but Keith Ellison and the rest of this administration have been over the last 7 years.
Congressman, it's Alicia Acuna. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I want to continue on this line about the massive Somali fraud scandal gripping your state. You are set to introduce the Scam Act on Tuesday, which will create a path to strip citizenship from naturalized Americans convicted of fraud, terrorist ties, or aggravated felonies within the last 10 years. Congressman, what else can you tell us about your legislation, and do you expect it to pass this year?
Yeah, I do expect it to move through the House. We'll have to see if Democrats